All right, I'm going to walk through at least one of each of the types of problems. So, like one from every section, just to make sure that there's not any section that has instructions that we find intimidating. So, the first section says to write the locator point and the transformations. So, this one, the locator point would be -6, -1/3. And then they also are asking for the transformations. So there's a negative in the front, which means that it's reflected over the x-axis. Vertical compression of 1/3. Shifted left 6. And shifted down 1/3. All right. For the next section, you just have to graph it. So the first thing I always do when I graph is I look for the locator point. So the locator point is -1, -2. So left 1, down 2. And now I'm going to go ahead and type this into Desmos, and I'm going to look for that locator point in the table on Desmos. The one I chose to graph right now is a cubic, but remember, if you were graphing a cube root, you would just type CBRT to get the cube root. Okay, now notice when I'm typing this that I put an equal sign. I did not use the symbol that is on the paper, because if you use that symbol, it's not going to give you the points. So I'm going to use this first, and then I'll go back and I'll use the inequality symbol to figure out my shading. So my point is -1, -2. I'm gonna get some more negatives here because I think that they would fit. See how this says 1, 6? I think that maybe I can get a point on the other side. So I'm just gonna press enter, get a couple more points in here. -2, -3, -4. Yeah, I got one more point that would fit. Okay, so -1, -2, -2, -3, -3, -10, 0, -1, and then 1, 6. Okay. And now that I have those points, let me just go ahead and show you what they look like on my paper. Because this is not an equal sign, this is not just going to be like a regular graph. I have to think about, should this be dotted or solid? Where should the shading be? But Desmos is going to do that for me. So I'm going to go ahead and on Desmos, now that I have my points all graphed out and I can see them, I'm going to go ahead and go back to Desmos, and I'm going to change that symbol so that I can see. And this is the same button on my keyboard as where the period is. So I just did shift and then the period button. So it's a dotted line and the shading is on the left. So I'm just going to make sure I graph it that same way. So a dotted line. With the shading on the left. There we go. Okay. The next one that I'm going to do is number 9. So they ask us to find the domain and the range. And I'm going to look at my notes if I can find them. Where's my notes? Okay, so I'm going to look at my notes. This is a cubic graph, and cubic graphs look like this. So I'm just going to draw a little sketch on here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because that can help me with my domain and range. So domain is from left to right. So left is an arrow, right is an arrow. Range is from down to up. So down to up. So again, negative infinity to positive infinity. So this is kind of what I referenced in the video. These are pretty boring. But I'm going to go ahead and go to Desmos now and plug this in to find the intercepts. So let's type this in. I've got 1/2 x plus 5 to the third minus 9. So x-intercept negative 2.379, comma 0. And then the y-intercept looks like it's way up there. There we go. 53.5, 0, comma 53.5. Okay. Next section. (13). Okay, so this is a cube root graph. It's going to look like this, but the one that I have is the negative version. So it's going to be up and then kind of come down. So up first, come down second. It's going to look like that. So they want us to do increasing and decreasing. If I put a stick figure here and have him start walking, he's going to be decreasing. This is decreasing. Negative infinity to positive infinity. So for increasing, I'm going to say none. Decreasing is from negative infinity to positive infinity. And then for my x and y intercept, I can go ahead and type this on Desmos. So the reason I'm showing you guys how to kind of strategize using your notes for this is because it's kind of nice if you don't have to type in Desmos for every single problem, and if you only have to do it for the intercepts, not the entire picture. So I'm going to do negative CBRT, x minus 4 with a plus 1 on the end. I'm going to click the home button to go back to normal. Oh, it's not showing up because that. What was on the end? Plus 1. Okay. So 5 for my x-intercept, 5, 0. And then my y-intercept is 2.587. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next section. So this one says to find the locator point and the end behavior. And this is the same kind of picture as the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of draw this picture again. Okay, so the locator point is -5, +6. For my end behavior, my left arrow, this is my left arrow is going up. Not very fast, but it's going up. My right arrow is going down. Okay. All right, number 19. Find the max and min and continuity for each of the following. So this is a cubic graph. It is a negative cubic graph. So instead of going up like this, it's going to start over here and kind of go down. So it's going to start on the left and kind of go down and look like this. If that's what it looks like, if it looks like a cubic at all, it doesn't have mountains or valleys, which is what maxes and mins are. So I'm going to say none, none. Can I trace the whole graph without picking up my finger? Yes. Okay. 21. Domain and range. Okay, this is another cubic graph. It's a positive cubic graph, so it's going to be the same shape. It's going to look just like this. Okay, so domain is left to right. Okay. Range is down to up. Okay. This is my left arrow. It goes down. My right arrow goes up. Okay, that was pretty nice. Okay, here's the next one. Find the increasing and decreasing intervals. Ooh, and end behavior. That's the same picture. Well, okay, I guess I'll do it. So if I was to put a stick figure right here he would be increasing something pretty steep. So from negative infinity to positive infinity. So for decreasing, I'm going to say none. And then for increasing, I'm going to say negative infinity to positive. The left arrow is pointing down. The right arrow is pointing up. So left arrow points down, right arrow points up. All right. And so that's what all the sections are asking you to do. Shouldn't take too long. I tried to make it as easy as possible, giving you guys blanks to kind of fill in, make things not too bad.